Hello, my fellow optimists. Vice President Russ here.
And past President Nick. Welcome to this week's Membership Tidbits, our weekly message about the benefits of being an Optimist member.
You know, Nick, so much has happened in the last 2 months. There has been a lot of discussion about how stressed everyone is. Our healthcare workers, first responders, grocery store employees, and all the rest of us who have had their lives turned upside down. You know, sometimes there is so much information going around, it truly adds to our stress levels, leading to a myriad of other problems. As I thought about this and all that is going on, I decided to do some research. You know what I found out? Stress is not a characteristic of life or times, but of people. It does not come from the environment around us, but the frame of mind of the individuals under stress. To kind of help you understand what I'm talking about, I want to tell you a little story about a glass of water.
Oh, come on, Rush. You're not going to tell that glass half full story again, are you? I think it's safe to say we optimists have heard just about every kind of glass of water story there is. Half full, half empty, full, empty, you name it, we've probably heard it or told it to someone.
Don't worry, Nick. I'm not going to repeat one of those stories, even though this story is about a glass half full of water. It's about a presentation where the presenter comes to the lectern holding a glass half full of water. The audience begins to buzz. A few grumbles were heard, and people begin to lose interest, knowing they were going to hear that old half empty, half full story for the 100th time.
Hey, I remember that story. Doesn't the presenter raise a glass and look at the audience and say, "Can anyone tell me how heavy this glass of water is?" And the audience, completely taken by surprise, begins to shout out their guesses: 4 ounces, 6 ounces, 10 ounces, and so on.
Now hold on, Nick. Remember, I'm telling this story.
Oops, Russ, I didn't mean to stress you out. You know how excited I get about a good story, and this is really a good story.
So, as the story goes, the presenter, in reply to the audience guesses, says, "From my perspective, the absolute weight of the glass is irrelevant. What really matters is how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute or two, it's fairly light. If I hold it for an hour straight, it becomes a little more heavy and my arms begin to feel like cramping. Hold it longer than that, say maybe 12 hours, and my arm will develop cramps, become numb, and soon I would not be able to hold the glass any longer, perhaps dropping it to the floor." What is interesting about this example is that at no time did the weight of the glass ever change. The weight always remained the same. However, the longer the presenter held the glass, the heavier it felt. So, Nick, what do you think the presenter was getting at with this demonstration?
Russ, I think it's quite obvious the presenter was demonstrating the example of stress. During these trying times of anxiety caused by social distancing, conflicting information, and our lives moving toward a new normal, whatever that will be, is causing most of us to stress and worry. And the longer this goes on, the more stressed and anxious we feel. We're bombarded every day by facts and figures, predictions and opinions that muddy the waters even more. The more we think about it, the more we stress. So what do we do about it? We have to change our mindset. We embrace optimism. What I'm saying is, let's not panic. Instead of dwelling on the negative and how bad things are, we concentrate on providing people with a positive vision and hope for the future. As optimists, let us be the example of how to release and let go of the thoughts and actions that cause us to stress and worry. It's not easy. It takes commitment and practice. But armed with our creed and our mission, we have the power to teach ourselves as well as others how to overcome stress and worry and instead spread hope and optimism.
Nick, you're absolutely right. We optimists have the tools to help our fellow human beings achieve a more positive outcome to their present circumstances, replacing stress and worry with a concerned optimism that will guide them and their outlook and actions.
You know, Russ, this discussion reminds me of another little analogy I came across. It's called the problem tree. It's a story about a carpenter who comes home from work each evening and before going into his home stops at a tree growing in his garden. He stands in front of the tree for a few moments and then he reaches out and touches the branches. He then proceeds to go into his home to be with his family. When asked about the ritual, the man explained, "Oh, that's my problem tree. I know I have problems, I'm bound to have problems at work, but those problems are mine, not my wife's or my children's. So when I get home, I hang up all my problems on that tree. And the next day before leaving for work, I pick them up again. And the oddest thing happens. Some of them are gone, while others have become a little heavier since the previous night."
Fellow optimists, we need a problem tree, a place to hang our stresses and worries so we don't spread them, just like the coronavirus. These stresses can diminish our quality of life or harm us and those around us. Our optimistic outlook provides us with hope and a positive vision of our future that goes a long way in removing the stress and worries from our lives.
Be optimist strong, be positive, live the creed.